Hello all, my name is Amit Jain and today we are going to discuss chemistry solution of paper NTSC stage 2nd which was held in 2019. So let's start guys. So here first question is, read the following statements. Two statements are given here. Statement 1 is, sodium metal reacts violently with water to produce heat and fire. Heat and fire, okay. And stage 2nd is guys, potassium metal react violently with water to form potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So we have to select correct answer from the options given below, okay. So if we talk about statement 1 guys, sodium metal react violently with water to produce heat and water. As we know, sodium is a highly reactive metal. It is a very high reactive metal. When sodium is reacted with water, it reacts violently, vigorously with water and produce sodium hydroxide along with hydrogen gas, and heat is also produced in this reaction. It is an exothermic reaction guys, okay. A large amount of heat is also produced in this reaction. And if we talk about statement 2nd guys, potassium is also a very high reactive metal. So potassium also react with water. And similarly as sodium, it will form potassium hydroxide along with hydrogen gas along with heat. So here both the statements are correct, but we can say statement 2nd is not the correct explanation of statement 1. Means statement 2 is not providing the explanation of statement 1. So if we see the options guys, here 4th statement is correct, means both statements are true, and statement 2nd does not provide the correct explanation of statement 1st, okay. So our answer is 4th. So guys, now coming to the second question. So guys, this is our next question. In this question, it is said that you are provided with 18 gram each of O2, N2, CH4 and H2. Which of the following is the correct decreasing order of number of atoms present in these samples, okay. So in this question, 18 gram each of O2, N2, CH4 and H2O are given, and we have to find decreasing order of number of atoms. So how can we do this question? So first of all, we will find moles of each species here. We will find moles of O2, moles of N2, moles of CH4 and moles of water. After finding the moles of each species, then we will find moles of atoms, okay. And then by observing the moles of atoms, we can observe the decreasing order of number of atoms. So first of all, we will find here moles of O2. So moles of O2, how can we find moles? Since we know that mole is equal to mass upon molar mass. So mass of O2 is 18 gram and molar mass of O2 is 32. So here we will get moles of O2 0.56. 0.56 is the moles of O2. These are the moles. So since 1 mole O2 has 2 mole oxygen atoms, 1 mole O2 has 2 mole oxygen atoms. So moles of oxygen atoms will be 2 into 0.56. 2 into 0.56. So here we will get 1.12 mole of oxygen atoms here. Now we will find moles of N2. So moles of N2 is equal to mass upon molar mass. So mass is 18 gram and molar mass of N2 is 28, okay, 28. So here we will find the moles of N2. So here moles of N2 are, moles of N2 are 0.64 mole, approximately 0.64 mole, okay. Since 1 mole of N2 has 2 mole of N atoms, so here we can find moles of N atoms. So moles of N atoms will be 2 into 0.64. So here we will get 1.28 moles of N atoms, okay. Now we will find moles of CH4. Okay, moles of CH4. So mass upon molar mass, mass is 18 gram and molar mass of CH4 is 16. So here we will get moles of CH4 1.125 moles. 1.125 moles. Okay, but 1 mole of CH4 has 5 mole of atoms. 1 mole of CH4 has 5 mole of atoms. So moles of atoms in CH4, moles of atoms in CH4 will be 5 into 1.125. So here we will get 5.625 mole of atoms in CH4. Okay, now talking about H2O, so moles of H2O, mass upon molar mass, so mass is 18 and molar mass is also 18 of H2O. So here we will get 1 mole H2O, and since 1 mole of H2O will have 3 mole of atoms, so moles of atoms in H2O, we can find out 3 into 1. So 3 mole of atoms are there in H2O. 3 mole of atoms are there in H2O. So which species will have most number of moles of atoms? So we can say CH4. CH4 has 5.625 moles of atoms. Then H2O have 3 mole of atoms. Then N2 have 1.28 mole of atoms, and then O2 have 1.12 mole of atoms. So obviously we can say here in this option, in CH4, the number of atoms will be maximum because the moles of atoms are maximum. That's why number of atoms also will be maximum here. So first of all, CH4 will come. CH4 will have maximum number of atoms. Okay, then H2O will come. H2O, here H2O have 3 mole of atoms, so H2O will come. Okay, now after H2O we can say N2 will come. N2 has 1.28 mole of atoms, so N2 will come, and ultimately O2 will come. O2 has 1.12 mole of atoms. Okay, so here is the decreasing order of number of atoms. It is the decreasing order of number of atoms. So CH4, then H2O, then N2, then O2. Then what option should be correct, guys, here? So we can say here first option is correct. First option will be our answer. Okay. Next question is Manya, Karthik, Gurnur and Sheena has arranged the ions fluoride, sodium ion, oxide ion and magnesium ion in decreasing order of their ionic radius. Okay. So these persons has arranged these ions in their decreasing order of ionic radius. Okay. Who had provided the correct order of their decreasing ionic radius? Okay. So guys, here we have 4 ions. Ions are oxygen 2 minus, F minus, Na plus and Mg 2 plus. These are the ions. Now we will find number of electrons in these ions. Okay. Since atomic number of oxygen is 8 and minus 2 charge is present, so it has 2 electron extra. So oxide ion is 10 electrons. Fluoride ion, the atomic number of fluoride is 9, and since minus 1 charge is present, so it has 1 electron extra. So it also has 10 electrons. Na plus. Since sodium has 11 atomic number and it has plus charge, means it has 1 electron less, so it will also has 10 electrons. Similarly, it will also has 10 electrons. Okay. Now these are the number of electrons. Now if we talk about the nuclear charge means number of protons. How much units of nuclear charge are present in this species. Okay. So if we talk about the atomic number of oxygen is 8. So oxide ion has 8 unit of nuclear charge. The atomic number of fluoride is fluorine is 9. So this fluoride has 9 unit of nuclear charge. Atomic number of sodium is 11. So Na plus has 11 unit of nuclear charge. And atomic number of magnesium is 12. So magnesium ion has 12 unit of nuclear charge. So as we are seeing, on moving here left to right from oxide ion to magnesium ion, nuclear charge is increasing. nuclear charge is increasing. As we move from oxide towards magnesium ion, nuclear charge is increasing. Means electrons feels more attraction. Means if nuclear charge increasing means electron feels more attraction towards nucleus. Okay. So Mg2 plus has maximum nuclear charge among them. So Mg2 plus will experience more attraction force, the most attraction force among them, obviously. So Mg2 plus will feel maximum attraction force, so its size will be least, its ionic radius will be less. Okay. And if we talk about oxide ion has least positive charge, least nuclear charge among them, so it will feel least attraction towards nucleus among them, so the size of oxide ion will be large. Okay. So as we move from oxide to magnesium ion, as we move from left to right, nuclear charge is increasing. Okay, means ionic radii will be decreased. Ionic radii will be decreased. So if we see the correct ionic radii of this species, oxide ion will be the largest, then fluoride ion will come, then sodium ion will come, and the least ionic radii is Mg2 plus has least ionic radii. Okay. So if we see the person who has arranged in the correct order, the person is, guys, here Gurnur. So if we talk about Gurnur, guys, Gurnur has arranged these ions in the correct decreasing order. So as we have seen already, we have seen that O2 minus, F minus, Na plus, Mg2 plus. So as we are going here, nuclear charge is increasing, and ionic radii is decreasing constantly. So this was the order. And if we talk about Gurnur has arranged these ions in the correct decreasing order, guys. So our option will be Gurnur. Here, third option will be correct, guys. This is our answer. Now coming to the next question. An organic compound A on heating with concentrated sulfuric acid gave product B. Okay. And on warming with alkaline KMnO4 gave compound C. Okay. Compound A on heating with compound C in presence of concentrated H2SO4 formed compound D, which has fruity smell. Identify the compounds A, B, C and D. This is the question. Okay. So if we talk about the compound which has fruity smell, since we know that esters compounds have fruity smell. These compounds have fruity smell. So no doubt the compound D will be an ester. And if we see the correct option, so here two options will be eliminated, guys. This option will be eliminated and this option will be eliminated. Okay. First and third, these are the two options now. Okay, we have to choose the correct answer from two options now. So obviously because compound D has fruity smell, so compound D should be an ester. Okay. Now see, guys, this D compound is formed by compound A on heating with compound C. Okay, in presence of H2SO4. And we already see this D is an ester. Okay, this D is an ester. Okay guys, now coming to the first line of question. Compound A on heating with concentrate sulfuric acid gave product B, and warming with alkaline KMnO4 gave compound C. Okay guys, if we see about the ester, how esters are formed? How esters are formed? When carboxylic acid and alcohol, these compounds reacted together in presence of acid, then esters are formed. Okay, so and C should be carboxylic acid and alcohol. Compound A may be carboxylic acid, may be alcohol, and compound C may be carboxylic acid, may be alcohol. We don't know now. If compound A is carboxylic acid, means C should be an alcohol, and if C is carboxylic acid, then compound A should be an alcohol. Okay guys, so if we see here two options, first option and third option. Here C, in first option C given is alkene. In first option it is given that C is alkene, but there are two possibilities for compound C. Either compound C will be a carboxylic acid or compound C will be an alcohol. There are two possibilities of C, compound C, and similarly there are two possibilities of compound A. Compound C, this compound C cannot be an alkene. This compound C cannot be an alkene. Guys, compound C cannot be an alkene because esters are formed by the reaction of carboxylic acid and alcohol, and in this question A and C are reacted together to form an ester. So there are two possibilities for compound C to be carboxylic acid and to be alcohol, but in A option it is given that C is alkene, so it is not possible guys. So if we talk about option 3 guys, in option 3 it is given that D is ester. Okay, we already had identified that D is ester. C is carboxylic acid. Yes, C can be this compound C can be in carboxylic acid. If compound C is in carboxylic acid, means A must be an alcohol. Compound A must be an alcohol, guys. Compound A must be an alcohol. Okay, and compound B is alkene. So third option will be correct, guys, for this question. So third option is right. And if we see the reactions, what are the reactions in this? So organic compound A, since A is an alcohol, now I am rubbing this all. Okay guys, now see all the reactions involved. So compounds A and alcohol, so let's take an alcohol, CH3 CH2OH. This is A. On heating with, it is heated with concentrate H2SO4, gave product B. So it will form CH2, double bond CH2, alkene, means it will form ethene. This is compound B, along with H2O, guys. Okay, now compound A on warming with alkaline KMnO4, compound A, this compound A on warming with alkaline KMnO4, gave compound C. So alkaline KMnO4 is an oxidizing agent, so it oxidizes alcohol into carboxylic acid. So here CH3 COOH will be formed. Okay, this is compound C. Now compound A on heating with compound C. Compound A is CH3 CH2OH. This is compound A, and it is on warming with compound C. Compound C is CH3COOH. This is compound C. On warming in presence of H2SO4, formed compound D, which is fruity smell. So compound will be CH3COO CH2CH3 along with H2O. So guys, it is an ester and it is compound D, and which is fruity smell. So these reactions involved in the question. So we can do this question by option elimination also, because hints are given. So here is the next question. The question is match list 1. In list 1 mixtures are given, okay, and list 2 type of mixtures. With the list 3, the examples of mixtures are here, and select the correct answer from the combination given below, okay. So in list 1, here A is liquid in gas. Liquid is in gas. Actually in list 2, the type of mixtures are given. Actually they are colloids. They are colloidal solution. Emulsion, aerosol, foam, gel. Actually they are called colloidal solution. They are type of colloidal solution. Okay, so liquid in gas. Liquid in gas is which type of colloid? Liquid in gas is aerosol. What we can say? Aerosol. Liquid in gas means liquid is dispersed phase and gas is dispersion medium. So if gas is dispersion medium, then this type of colloid is called aerosol. And what should be the example of aerosol here? What we can say? What should be the example of aerosol? So example of aerosol here would be mist. The example of aerosol would be mist among them, because in mist liquid particles are dispersed in gaseous medium. Okay, so liquid in gas is called aerosol type of mixture and its example is mist. So we can say in A option 2 will come and the example is first, we can say. Okay, now we will talk about liquid in liquid type of colloid. So liquid in liquid type of colloid is called emulsion. Liquid in liquid type of colloid is called emulsion. Okay, so emulsion. Now what should be the example of emulsion here? So we can say face cream should be the example of emulsion. In face cream, liquid particles are dispersed into liquid. Okay, liquid particles are dispersed into liquid medium. So we can say face cream is the example of emulsion here. So in B we can say 1 will come and its example is third, we can say. Okay, now coming to the C point, gas in solid. Okay, means gas is dispersed phase and solid is dispersion medium. Okay, so which type of colloid is this? This is colloid foam. Okay, this type of colloid is called foam. Gas in solid. This type of colloid is called foam. And what should be the example of foam here? So the example of foam will be sponge. The example of foam will be sponge. बिल्कुल in sponge gaseous particles are dispersed in solid, and sponge gaseous particles are dispersed in solid. That's why we can say in C third will come and its example will be second. So now this is the correct answer, guys. So now observe the options, which option should be correct. So if we see the option, so here we can observe here second option will be our answer, guys. Second option will be our answer. Second option is correct. Okay, here next question is which of the following set of reactions will not occur? Okay, 4 reactions are given and some options given here, and we have to identify the set of reactions which will not occur. Okay, now see the first reaction, guys. If we observe this reaction, these reactions are looking like displacement reaction. These reactions looking like displacement reaction. Okay, and we know about displacement reaction. In displacement reaction, a highly reactive element displaces a less reactive element from compound, from aqueous solution. Okay, now see the first reaction, guys. In first reaction, here solution is MgSO4 and here element is Fe, and we know that iron is less reactive than magnesium. We know the reactivity series very well. Okay, and iron is less reactive than magnesium, so iron cannot displace magnesium from MgSO4. Iron cannot displace magnesium from MgSO4. Okay, it cannot displace because it is less reactive than magnesium. So this reaction will not be possible. This reaction will not occur. Okay, now coming to the second equation. Second reaction is copper sulfate plus iron. Here FeSO4 and copper is formed. So we know very well iron is more reactive than copper. Iron is more reactive than copper. So iron being more reactive than copper, so it can easily displace copper from copper sulfate and can form FeSO4 and copper. So this reaction can occur. Now coming to third reaction. In third reaction, magnesium sulfate is reacting with copper and forming CaSO4 plus Mg, magnesium. So we know very well guys, copper is less reactive than magnesium. Copper is less reactive than magnesium. So copper being less reactive than magnesium, copper cannot displace magnesium from magnesium sulfate. So this reaction will not occur. And if we see fourth reaction, in fourth reaction, copper sulfate react with zinc and form ZnSO4 plus copper. So as we know, zinc is more reactive than copper. Zinc is more reactive than copper. So zinc being more reactive than copper, zinc can displace copper from copper sulfate and can form zinc sulfate plus copper. So this reaction can occur. So the question is, which of the following set of reactions will not occur? So first reaction will not occur and third reaction will not occur. Here these two reactions will not occur guys. So our correct option is first option. This is the correct option. Okay. Now coming to the next question. Two organic compounds A and B react with sodium metal and both produce the same gas. Same gas X. Both produce the same gas X. But with sodium hydrogen carbonate, only compound B react. Only compound B react to give a gas Y. Okay. Identify A, B, X and Y. A, B, X and Y. Okay. We have to identify this. Now, with sodium hydrogen carbonate, only compound B react. If we talk about sodium hydrogen carbonate, NaHCO3 guys, sodium hydrogen carbonate, actually it is a salt which is formed by a strong base and weak acid. A strong base is NaOH and weak acid is H2CO3. So the nature of the solution of this salt is basic nature. NaCO3 is basic nature salt. Okay. And compound B can react with sodium hydrogen carbonate. So compound B should be an acidic compound. Guys. Okay. Compound B should be an acidic compound. And if we see in the options, if we see about the acid in B option, so because B can react with sodium hydrogen carbonate, so compound B should be an acidic compound. Guys. In option A, B is ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol is not acidic. In option second, B given is acetic acid. Yes, acetic acid may be B may be acetic acid. In third option, B is given ethyl alcohol. B cannot be ethyl alcohol. In option 4, B is given formic acid. Yes, B may be formic acid. So here, this option, fourth option, and second option may be correct. Okay. Now we will look about second and fourth option. Fourth option. Okay. Now, see the first line of question. Two organic compounds A and B react with sodium metal. A and B sodium. Okay. Now, if we have fourth option as our answer, compound A is acetic acid and compound B is formic acid, and B both are acids here. In fourth option, A is also acid, B is also acid. Okay. So, but in question it is given that, in this question it is given that only compound B react with sodium hydrogen carbonate. In question it is given that only compound B react with sodium hydrogen carbonate. Okay. But if we see about fourth option, in fourth option A is acetic acid and B is formic acid. These both are acid and sodium hydrogen carbonate is basic nature. So these both compounds should react. This both compound means A or B. If we assume fourth is our answer, means acetic acid and formic acid means compound A, compound B both should react with sodium hydrogen carbonate. But in question it is given that only compound B react with sodium hydrogen carbonate. So obviously A cannot be acetic acid. A cannot be acetic acid. If A can be acetic acid, so it also should react with sodium hydrogen carbonate. So A cannot be acetic acid, guys. So if we see the second option, here second option will be correct. Here the compound A is ethyl alcohol, compound B is acetic acid, X is hydrogen, and Y is carbon dioxide. And if we see the reaction, okay, now let's also talk about reactions. Now two organic compounds A and B. A is ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol is C2H5OH. React with sodium metal. Now ethyl alcohol react with sodium metal, and here C2H5ONa. Sodium ethoxide is formed along with hydrogen gas. Now compound B, here compound B is acetic acid. Acetic acid is CH3COOH, and it is treated with sodium metal, then it will form CH3COONa, sodium acetate, along with hydrogen gas. Okay, so both compound A and B react with sodium metal to evolve hydrogen gas. Same gas means hydrogen gas, and this hydrogen gas is X. Okay, now but with sodium hydrogen carbonate, only compound B react. Sodium hydrogen carbonate is, guys, NaHCO3, and with sodium hydrogen carbonate only compound B react. Compound B is CH3COOH. So here CH3COONa plus H2O plus CO2 gas is formed. Here CO2 gas is Y. So guys, A is ethyl alcohol, B is acetic acid, X is hydrogen gas, and Y is carbon dioxide. It is our answers. Okay. Now coming to the next question. Consider the elements A, B, C and D with atomic numbers 11, 12, 16 and 17 respectively. Which among the following statements regarding these elements are correct? Okay. Statements are given. So if we talk about these elements, atomic number 11. So 11 must be sodium. Atomic number 12, this element must be magnesium. Atomic number 16, this element must be sulfur. And atomic number 17, this element must be chlorine. So we have here 4 elements: sodium, magnesium, sulfur and chlorine. This is A, this is B, this is element C, this is element D. Okay. Now first statement is the element C will gain electron more easily than element D. Element C will gain electron more easily than element D. Actually, sodium, magnesium, sulfur, chlorine, these elements are the member of third period. Okay, which period? Third period. These are the member of third period. Third period. Okay. And we know very well, on moving left to right in a period, metallic character decrease, but non-metallic character increase. So when we move from sodium up to chlorine, so metallic character obviously will decrease and non-metallic character will be decreased. So between C and D, which would be more non-metallic? Obviously, because on moving from A to D, non-metallic character are increasing. So between C and D, D will be more non-metallic. D will be more non-metallic. So if D will be more non-metallic, means D can gain electron more easily than element C. D can gain electron more easily than element C. But here in first statement, it is given that element C will gain electron more easily than element D. It is not a correct statement, guys. It is not a correct statement, because element D is more non-metallic and element C is less non-metallic than element D. So element D can gain electron more easily than element C. Okay. Now coming to the second statement, the element B tends to lose electron more readily than C. See guys, C is sulfur and sulfur is non-metal. and element B is magnesium. Magnesium is metal, and we know very well magnesium can lose electron more easily than non-metals. So obviously element B tends to lose electron more readily than C. This is the correct statement, guys, because C is non-metal and B is a metal, and metal can lose electron more easily. Okay, so this is the correct statement. Now coming to the third statement, the oxide of A will be least basic while that of D will be most basic. Okay, since D is a non-metal, and we know that non-metallic oxides, the oxides of non-metals are basic in nature. The oxides of non-metal are acidic in nature. Okay, so oxide of D will be acidic. Oxide of D will be acidic, not basic. Oxide of D will be acidic, not basic. So this statement is also not correct. Now if we see the fourth statement, the energy required to remove an electron from outermost shell from A will be minimum while that of D will be maximum. So these are the four elements: sodium, magnesium, sulfur, chlorine. These are the member of third period, and this is element A, this is B, this is C, this is D, and we know that on moving left to right along a period, effective nuclear charge increase. Okay, so attraction force of nucleus on valence shell on outermost shell electron increase on moving left to right. So in chlorine there is maximum effective nuclear charge. In chlorine there is maximum effective nuclear charge among these elements. Okay, and in sodium there is least effective nuclear charge. Okay, so the energy required to remove an electron from outermost shell from A will be minimum. Yes, bilkul, as we are moving left to right, Z effective increase means tendency to lose electrons decrease, means energy required to remove electron will increase. Okay, so chlorine required more energy to lose electron, while means element D required more energy to lose electron, and element A required least energy to remove an electron. So option 4, so statement 4 is also correct. So here we have two statement corrects, statement second and statement 4. Statement second and statement 4. These two statements are correct. So guys, our correct answer is fourth option. Fourth option will be correct of this question. Okay. Now coming to the next question. The following observations are given for 4 metals. Okay. Metal H does not react with dilute HCl. Metal K react with warm water. Metal L does not react with water but displace metal H from its aqueous salt solution. Metal M reacts with cold water. Okay, choose the correct decreasing order of reactivity of these metals amongst the following. Okay, metal H does not react with HCl. Metal H does not react with HCl, means metal H cannot displace hydrogen. Metal H cannot displace hydrogen from HCl, means reactivity of metal H, this is metal, you know? Metal H is less than hydrogen. Reactivity of metal H is less than hydrogen. That's why it cannot displace hydrogen from HCl. That's why metal H does not react with HCl. Okay. Metal K reacts with warm water. Metal K reacts with warm water. So obviously the reactivity of K should be greater than H, because the reactivity of H is less than hydrogen. But K can react with warm water. Metal K can react with warm water. Metal K react with warm water and form oxide along with hydrogen gas. Okay, so metal K should be more react with metal H. Okay, now metal L does not react with water. Metal L does not react with water, but displace metal H. From its aqueous salt solution. Metal L does not react with water. But displace metal H from its salt solution. So obviously the reactivity of metal L should be greater than metal H, because metal L can displace metal H from its salt solution. So reactivity of metal L should be greater than metal H. Okay. But this metal L cannot react with water, but metal K can react with warm water. But metal K react with warm water. So obviously the reactivity of metal K should be greater than metal L. The reactivity of metal K should be greater than metal L. Yes or not? Obviously. So here, among these metals, these three metals, K is more reactive than L and L is more reactive than H. Okay. Metal M reacts with cold water. Now metal M even reacts with cold water, but metal K can react with warm water. This metal K react with warm water, but metal M react with cold water. So obviously the reactivity of metal M, should be greater than metal K, because metal K is able to react with only warm water. Here metal M is reacting with cold water, so obviously the reactivity of metal M should be greater than metal K. So reactivity of metal M should be greater than metal of K. So the correct order will be M, K, L, H. This is the correct decreasing order. This is the correct decreasing order of reactivity of metals, guys. So if we see the correct option here, third option will be correct here, guys. Third option is our answer. Okay. Now coming to the next question. Match chemical reactions given in the list 1 with the type of chemical reaction given in list 2 and select the correct answer using the options given below. Okay. Formation of ammonia from nitrogen and hydrogen. Formation of ammonia from nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay, means the reaction is formation of ammonia from nitrogen hydrogen. Reaction is nitrogen react with hydrogen to form ammonia. So what should be the type of this reaction? The type of this reaction should be combination. It is an example of combination reaction. Calcination of zinc carbonate. The reaction is zinc carbonate. Zinc carbonate is ZnCO3. When it is heated in absence of air, then it will decompose to form ZnO plus CO2. So it should be an example of decomposition reaction, because in which substance is breaking down into two or more substance. Okay. Now reaction of aqueous barium chloride solution with dilute H2SO4. The reaction is barium chloride is BaCl2 aqueous and it is reacting with H2SO4 aqueous. So here we will get BaSO4 barium sulfate as PPT along with HCl. So here we can see which type of reaction is happening. Here double displacement reaction is happening, guys, because BaCl2 and H2SO4, they both are exchanging their ions. Together. Okay, BaCl2 and H2SO4, they both are exchanging their ions to form barium sulfate, PPT and HCl. So it is an example of double displacement reaction. Now coming to the D, rancidity of oils. Okay, so oils are rancid due to oxidation, or oils are rancid due to oxidation, or we can say rancidity of oils take place due to oxidation of foodstuffs. Okay, so oxidation is happening, but oxidation cannot occur singly, cannot occur alone. If in any reaction oxidation is occurring, means obviously there should also be a reaction, that is reduction, because oxidation reduction are complementary process. They both are taking place together. They do not occur alone. Oxidation cannot occur alone, reduction cannot occur alone. Okay, so rancidity of oils take place due to oxidation. So obviously here reduction will also be take place. So the reactions in which oxidation redox reaction, both occur together, known as redox reaction. So D is the example of redox reaction. Okay, guys. So if we match the options here, in A, third will come. In B, first will come, in C second will come, and in D fourth will come. So the correct match is guys D option. D option is the correct match, guys. So it is our answer. Okay. So this is the answer. Now, so this is our next question, guys. So question says, you are provided with aqueous solution of 3 salts A, B and C. 2 to 3 drops of blue litmus solution, red litmus solution and phenolphthalein were added to each of these solution in separate experiments. Okay. The change in colors of different indicators were recorded in the following table, in this table. Okay. On the basis of above observations, identify A, B and C from the following options. Okay. So here we have to identify the correct option, guys. Okay. So let's start. Now see, if we talk about salt A, which salt? Salt A. Salt A. On adding blue litmus solution, no change is observed. On adding red litmus solution, also no change is observed. On adding phenolphthalein solution, also no change is observed. So what we can say about salt A? What should be the nature of salt A? We can say the nature of salt A should be neutral salt. Salt A should be neutral salt because on adding blue litmus solution, no color change is observed. On adding red litmus solution, no color change is observed. On adding phenolphthalein solution, no color change is observed. So we can say salt A is neutral salt. Okay. Now coming to the second sample, B salt. If we talk about B salt, on adding blue litmus solution, it turns red. See guys, it turns red. When blue litmus solution turns red in acidic solution, we can say, okay, we know very well in acid turn blue litmus solution into red. So what we can say about the nature of salt B? We can say about the nature of salt B that salt B is acidic salt. We can say salt B is acidic salt because it turned blue litmus solution into red. And it does not change the color of red litmus solution, and it does not change the color of phenolphthalein solution. So we know that acid remain colorless in phenolphthalein. We know very well, and acid does not change the color of red litmus solution, but acid turn blue litmus solution into red. So what we can say about the nature of salt B? We can say salt B should be an acidic salt. Okay. Now coming to the sample C, salt C. Now talking about salt C. On adding blue litmus solution, no change is observed. On adding red litmus solution turns blue. On adding phenolphthalein turns pink. Okay, so phenolphthalein turns pink in basic solution, and red litmus solution turns into blue in basic solution. So what can we say about the sample of salt C? We can say the nature of sample of salt C should be a basic salt. Okay, so salt A should be a neutral, salt B is acidic salt, salt C should be basic salt. So which option would be correct, guys, here? So we can say here third option would be correct. Why third option is correct, guys? Because here A is NaCl, B is NH4Cl, and C is CH3COONS, sodium acetate. Okay, since NaCl is the salt made by strong acid and strong base. That's why A is a neutral salt. Okay, and salt B, NH4Cl is made by strong acid and weak base. That's why its nature is acidic. Okay, and salt C, sodium acetate is made by weak acid and strong base, so its nature is basic. Okay, so here we can say option third would be correct, guys. Option third would be our answer. Okay, so guys, this is our next question. In this question, match list 1. In list 1, some mixtures are given which are to be separated. With the list second, the methods are given in list second, and select the correct answer using the options given below. Okay, so in list 1, the mixtures are given which are to be separated, and list second, the methods used are given. Okay, so here A is mixture of liquid N2 and liquid O2. So liquid N2 and liquid O2 does not have so much difference in their boiling points. Liquid N2 and liquid O2 does not have so much difference in their boiling points. So these both liquids can be separated by using fractional distillation method. We know very well two miscible liquids can be separated by using distillation method, and when there is not so much difference in boiling point, so fractional distillation method is used. Okay, so we can say liquid N2 and liquid O2 can be separated by using fractional distillation method. Okay, red and blue inks. Now the ink particles, different colored ink particles present in dyes can be separated by using chromatography method. So red and blue ink particles can be separated by using chromatography method. Okay, solution of NaCl in water. So how can we separate NaCl and water? So NaCl and water can be separated by using simple evaporation method. Okay, so NaCl can be separated. Crystal of NaCl can be obtained from water by using which method? By using evaporation method, guys. Okay, and naphthalene and NaCl. So how can we separate naphthalene and NaCl? Since we know that naphthalene is a sublimable substance, means naphthalene can be converted directly from solid form into vapor form, gas form. Okay, so naphthalene and NaCl can be separated by using sublimation method. Which method? By using sublimation method. So we can say in A third will come, in B first will come, in C we can say fourth will come, and in D second will come. So see the correct option, guys. Here which option should be correct, guys? What we can say here, we can say third option should be correct, guys. Third option will be our answer. Okay, the next question is, select the correct set of statements regarding change in properties as we move down the second group in periodic table. Okay, we are moving down the second group. Okay, so the following changes given. Now correct set of statements regarding the change. So we have to identify the correct statements here from here. Okay, so second group. If we talk about second group, guys, in second group elements are beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. Okay, these are the elements. So atomic size increase as we move down the group, guys. As we move down the group, number of shells increase. Number of shells increase. So number of shells increase. So obviously atomic size increase. So obviously atomic size increase means we can say it is a correct change. Okay, now second statement is electronegativity increase. Electronegativity is the tendency to attract shared pair of electrons towards itself. This is called electronegativity. Okay, and electronegativity depends on effective nuclear charge. Electronegativity depends on effective nuclear charge, guys. Effective nuclear charge. As we know, on moving down the group, effective nuclear charge decrease. Effective nuclear charge, because size is increasing. That's why effective nuclear charge will decrease. Effective nuclear charge, Z effective nuclear charge will decrease. Means tendency of nucleus to attract the electrons of valence shell towards itself will decrease. And electronegativity depends on effective nuclear charge. Electronegativity depends on effective nuclear charge. Okay, if more Z effective, more electronegativity. Less Z effective, less electronegativity. Because electronegativity is the tendency to attract shared pair of electrons towards itself. So more Z effective, more tendency to attract shared pair of electrons towards itself, more electronegativity. Less Z effective, less tendency to attract shared pair of electron towards itself, less electronegativity. That's why as we are moving down the group, second group, Z effective decrease, so electronegativity of elements also decrease, not increase. Electronegativity also decrease. So this is not a correct statement, guys. Tendency to lose electron increase, as we seen already. On moving down the group, Z effective decrease. Now in barium, electrons are bounded loosely than in beryllium. Means this barium can lose electron more easily than beryllium. So obviously on moving down the group, number of shells are increasing, atomic size is increasing, means tendency to remove an electron from this atom is increasing. So tendency to lose electron increase. Okay, obviously on moving down the second group, tendency to lose electron increase. Okay, so this is the correct statement, guys. Valency remains same. If we see the electronic configuration of these elements, these all elements will have 2 valence electrons in their outermost shell. How many? 2 valence electron in their outermost shell. The electronic configuration of beryllium is 2, 2. The electronic configuration of magnesium is 2, 8, 2. The electronic configuration of calcium is 2, 8, 8, 2. So beryllium has 2 valence electron, magnesium has 2 valence electron, calcium has 2 valence electron. Similarly, strontium, barium, radium also will have 2 valence electron, 2 valence electron in their outermost shell. Okay, so their valence electron are same. So obviously valency will also remain same. So they have valency equal to 2. Because their valence electron are 2, in all the elements their valence electron are 2, so valency is also equal to 2. So valency remains same. This is also a correct statement, guys. So if we see the answer, first is correct, third is correct, and fourth is also correct, guys. First, third, and fourth. So fourth option is correct, guys. Here, fourth option is correct. Okay. The next question is, which of the following options containing formula, bonding and nature of aqueous solution respectively is correct for the compound formed by 2 elements A and B having atomic number 1 and 17 respectively. Okay, so here 2 elements are given, guys. 2 elements A and B. Element A has atomic number 1 and element B has atomic number 17, means A should be hydrogen and B should be chlorine, and they both are non-metals. Okay, so they can form bond together by sharing of electrons because they both are non-metals. Okay, so this is the hydrogen, this is chlorine. Electronic configuration of hydrogen is 1 and electronic configuration of chlorine is 2, 8, 7. Hydrogen has only 1 valence electron and chlorine has, guys, 7 valence electron. Hydrogen tend to achieve its duplet, means it required 1 more electron, and chlorine tend to achieve its octet because in valence shell 7 electrons are present. So it want to achieve the configuration of argon, nearest noble gas, so 1 electron more required. Okay, so these both atoms share their 1 electrons. Hydrogen and chlorine. 1 electron of hydrogen and 1 electron of chlorine, and 6 electrons are remaining here. Here, this type of sharing is take place between these 2 elements, and single covalent bond is formed between these 2 elements. So if we see the formula of compound, so here which type of compound is formed? AB type or AB2 type? This is A, this is B, and these both are connected. A is 1, here B is 1, means H is 1, Cl is 1, so A is 1, B is 1, so here AB type compound is formed. Here AB type compound is formed. Here AB and here AB. Here AB type compound is formed. Okay. The nature of bonding. What should be the nature of bonding? Which type of bond is taking place between these 2 elements? Covalent bonding is taking place between these 2 elements. And since the compound is HCl, and we know very well HCl is hydrogen chloride, and when it is dissolved in water, it forms hydrochloric acid. What will be formed? Hydrochloric acid. Aqueous solution of HCl, solution of HCl gas is known as hydrochloric acid, guys. So the nature of aqueous solution will be acidic. So here third option will be correct, guys. Okay. So guys, here are the solution of anti-acid stage second paper, which was held in 2019. So I hope you got your all answers. Okay. Thank you.